Welcome to the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, where there's always another secret.
Welcome back, Sixers, to another episode of the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies. This is episode 157. Today is March 11th, 2024. I'm Bill, and I'm joined, as always, by my loquacious co-hosts, Amy and Jordan. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, I knew that word.
It means you say a lot of words.
Da-da-da-da-da.
There's a reason I know it.
Garrulous is also another fun one.
Because before we get started, we do want to remind you that the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies is not a spoiler-free podcast. That means that if there is something in the Cosmere that you haven't read and you're worried about hearing spoilers, you might want to go read those first, then come back and join the discussion. Tonight, we are discussing the Say the Words videos that Dragonsteel released leading up to the launch of the Words of Radiance leatherbound crowdfunding campaign. And we'll probably go into the campaign a bit too, because there were one or two things said there that may be of interest to our listeners. But before that, for those of you who listen to the podcast recordings or watch the videos on YouTube, we do want to remind you that it's actually possible for listeners to interact with us live via chat as we record each episode at www.youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. We record episodes every other Monday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, so please join us and take an active part of the discussion. Remember, to our listeners in Arizona, we just had daylight savings time, so it's a little bit later
weird,
now.
yeah.
We don't sync up with you as well. I have a brother in Arizona, and that's...
I found out not all countries, even if they do daylight savings time, they don't all do it at the same time.
Oh dear.
Fair enough.
I didn't know that.
Because one of the podcasts I like, one of their hosts is over in Europe. They're like, yeah, we don't do it for another 2 weeks. They're just like, what?
There's even a couple of time zones out there that are like half hours off. So that's always fun.
Sheesh.
The Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies is made possible by the support of our listeners and patrons. The show will, of course, continue to be free, but if you want to help us out, head over to patreon.com/Cosmere Studies. Even pledging a couple dollars per episode really helps us out as we work to improve the show. Patrons get immediate access to our Discord channel where you can talk about the show and the Cosmere with other listeners. We've got a great community over there with a lot of great discussion, and you'll also get early access to bonus episodes, exclusive access to other bonus content, and other good stuff. So, guys, how are y'all doing? How do you feel about the Kickstarter, not the Kickstarter, the crowdfunding?
I feel pretty good about it. Like, I got a reasonable amount, and I got more than I had hoped because Josh is a wonderful, loving husband, but he didn't get me anything for Valentine's Day, so he got me a plushie and other things for Valentine's Day.
Nice.
So it's fine.
Somebody asked me what I'm getting from the Kickstarter, and the only answer I had was poorer.
Dang it! I should have come up with
poor, later great things. So yes.
All I got was the Eltcaller plush, not Eltcaller, the Dustbringer.
You got the Dustbringer plushie, even though you're not a Dustbringer.
But he's
no, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. No, I went all in, and then I also added on the. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
But I also got an Edge Dancer plushie because I'm an Edge Dancer. And they're little gnome dudes, and they're kind of awesome. And probably my favorite of the 10. So let's move into announcements. Jordan, how goes the push to? I guess we've passed at 3,000. So is it the push to full monetization, or?
Yes, we have passed 3,000. That's the big news, and thus we now are applying for monetization. So
what does this mean for our listeners?
Yeah.
So for the listeners, absolutely nothing. For the viewers, you will have the ability to now give super chats. Not yet. We have to get approved still by YouTube, and we'll be able to do emotes in the chat for the people who do such a thing. We'll probably put it at a really low amount because, look, we kind of would prefer you guys to go to Patreon anyway. But if you want fancy emotes, you'll be able to do that.
And we just got denied by YouTube.
Yeah. But the big one for us is actually the next layer up, which is 4,000, which unfortunately, because we're in the application state, it doesn't show us the actual number right now, so I can't give you a fancy number. But the other thing we have to get is we have to get up to 1,000 subscribers over on YouTube. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so. We are at 941 right now.
Wow.
So we're only 59 away.
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident we'll get there, especially because as a result of passing this, as I promised last episode, Monday that'd be the 18th, where I'm going to do a special live stream where we're going to be doing Cosmere 20 questions.
Nice.
I've put together a list of 128. I really should call it Sanderson 20 questions because it's actually dealing with him.
Okay.
But the point is, I have 128 possible topics people can select from. We've been doing this with video games over on my stream. It's been a ton of fun, and it's been something where the chat can help out, make suggestions, help out the person who's doing it. We'll probably have a couple of people, like probably Bill and Amy to start, and then open it up to some of our Patreon subscribers.
Nice. We could call it Dragonsteel 20 questions.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay.
Or instead of say the words, ask the question. I don't know.
But yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun, and we'll also be able to turn into shorts content. I just finished up my next short. I'm figuring out how to streamline my process so far.
Awesome.
I got everything built together. It's just the other thing. The way I do this, I have sound effects for yes, no, and kinda. Yes with Brandon's easy. I just get his Bing sound effect. Bing. No and kinda. I don't know. If someone could watch a Brandon live stream and give me I don't know.
Brandon,
noises.
I wouldn't get it from one of his live streams. I'd pull it from Intentionally Blank, because whenever he's sort of skeptical, he does the little
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could just pull from Dark Souls, since I know he loves that game.
I guess you could.
Either way, I need to get some sound effects together for this.
And if they win, then you pull Kramer saying, "These words are accepted."
I could do that, actually. Actually, I could just pull from the books.
Yeah.
Stormfall, they're saying yes and no.
No.
Actually, isn't bad.
Actually, yeah.
No.
There's plenty of that, too.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Kramer, that's a good approach.
There you go. Let's do that.
Cool. All right, well, if that's all of the announcements, is it time to move on? Then it is time for the Cosmere Thing of the Week. This one made me so very, very happy when I saw it. There was a post on Reddit by her screen name is I am Lacey Simpson. So I'm guessing her name is Lacey Simpson. Just an assumption. But she made this post after Brandon got back from vacation and dropped, yes, another secret project on us, because Brandon is Brandon. For those of you who are wondering what 631 was, it's 6 minutes, 31 seconds into video number 631. Brandon dropped another secret project on us. We'll get into that in a little bit, though, because Lacey made a celebratory image based on if you give a mouse a cookie, which is if you give Brandon a vacation, and it is utterly adorable. He's got these bright, happy eyes, these little stubby arms with no hands, and just utterly adorable.
There's an AVR behind him too, you know.
And well, it's not just an AVR. That's
his AVR.
That's
Jello.
That's Jello. Magellan.
Yeah, Magellan. I always forget Magellan's name.
And he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt too, which is and sandals and just all sorts of. I just realized he's almost cosplaying Hoy, except for in a much less tacky manner.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the other thing I love is that the top-rated comment was someone who posted their own version of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's if you give Brandon a vacation, his mind will relax. When his mind relaxes, he thinks of new stories. When he thinks of new stories, he asks for a pencil and a piece of paper. When he asks for a pencil and a piece of paper, he writes 5 new books. When he writes 5 new books, he does a Kickstarter. When he does a Kickstarter, he gets worn out. When he is worn out, he asks for a vacation.
And then we just cycle through. Yeah.
No complaints here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, again, this art is just utterly adorable. Definitely worth
super
checking out. And Octavia saw it on Reddit and loved it and asked for permission to put it on the Dragonsteel Instagram. So it's up on their social media as well.
Nice.
So
high praise indeed.
Indeed. All right. Well, let's move on to Sanderson news. The big news, as we've already mentioned, the Words of Radiance crowdfunding project is live on BackerKit. We will get into more details shortly. Everything else is about 2 weeks old. So just take that with a grain of salt, because there was no weekly update last week because that was the Kickstarter launch and basically everything went crazy. As we were expecting it to.
Yeah.
But Stormlight 5 3.0 2 weeks ago was over 65%. So it's probably, progressed a little bit beyond that. Skyward Legacy hadn't made progress while Brandon was on his vacation. I'm guessing he's done a bit on the updates on that as well. Also, Brandon's YouTube, speaking of subscriber count, he has passed 500,000 subscribers.
Bravo.
It's pretty insane, especially for someone who's not really a dedicated YouTuber like him.
Yeah, I mean, he has a team that does more videos and stuff like that, which helps for sure.
Yeah, he has his following, though, and they're a very, very loyal and enthusiastic following.
Yeah.
Hashtag not a cult.
17. Although he did call them evangelists.
Yes, he did. But to celebrate, they are doing a Tuckerization, which basically means they're taking a real life person and putting them into the next Stormlight book in some way or other. Brandon's done this with his friends, his family, his writing
Why is
group.
That called a Tuckerization?
I don't know what the origin of the name is. But yeah. But Adam decided that the name of the contest is the Tuck Me In contest.
It's cute.
So they're going to have a drawing for it on March 29th during their final live stream before the end of the crowdfunding. And if you want to enter that, then you're going to email contest@brandonsanderson.com with the subject line reading Tuck Me In, and then put a person's name and a short description, like a brief, like 1-line description of that person. You can only enter once. They are checking, and if you try to slip past that, then none of your entries will count.
So don't do it.
So don't do it.
And don't try and stuff the ballot box for your favorite content.
Though
creators.
you can't. Apparently, if we all entered the same person, like said, tried to have whatever, like Joe Bob, and if we tried to all enter Joe Bob, that would not be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just would be.
It wouldn't. Oh, okay.
No, because I think they said that if multiple people can suggest somebody.
Yeah.
But the same person cannot enter multiple times.
Well, then
so
enter your favorite.
I would love that if you entered me.
But they are. I would not say no, but
just please don't kill me.
But just again, they are going to be skybreaking all over this contest, so don't try to cheat it.
Yeah, don't.
Also,
dang skybreakers.
Cool news. Dragonsteel 2024, they have added additional hotel slots because the previous blocks sold out and the hotels are thrilled. And so they've reserved more spots, and it's helping them to reserve bigger blocks in the future if you reserve through their link on dragonsteel.com.
And I think you can even call up the hotel and say, I want to re-reserve with that, or you can cancel.
Basically what you would need to do is you'd need to cancel your reservation and then rebook.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily call the hotel and say, I want to do this. It's basically just rebook is what Brandon said.
I thought they said you could call and tweak it too.
That may be something. I haven't heard that, but
I don't know.
I just know when they say rebook, just yeah.
Okay.
Just but if you do cancel, make sure that there is room before you cancel.
Yeah.
So this, yeah. Chat says this con is going to be packed absolutely.
Yeah.
and you should show up, and it's going to be awesome.
I am thrilled and terrified at the same time.
I'll keep simping for it.
Okay, well, let's move into the main discussion. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how we want to handle this, because I feel like what we can do, I was thinking we were just going to discuss the videos at first, but I think it actually might be a good idea to kind of discuss the videos and then the corresponding swag for each of these orders that's going to be in the campaign.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah.
Let's just
Specifically
the meta.
Specifically the
is to
plushies.
start the campaign.
Okay, so
let's
just start with the campaign then. Good call. Okay, so Brandon is, busting down doors. He broke Backer Kit just like he broke Kickstarter. Brandon is breaking the internet on a regular basis at this point.
He enjoys doing it.
Would that be like a Skynet breaker? Instead of
that's only if we get the Brando Sando bots.
Yeah.
Brando's fair enough. But
except, instead of destroying humanity, they just write more stories.
Yeah.
No, the thing that I really like is, as far about just the campaign overall, is I liked the slow build.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I really liked about it was, one, I didn't maybe he said it earlier, but I somehow completely missed that Dan was the one writing these vignettes. If that's the right word. I don't
vignettes
know.
is fine.
Vignettes, yeah.
Okay. And so I had no clue that it was Dan. I think Dan did a good job of writing in Brandon's voice.
If anybody knows how to write in Brandon's voice, I think it would be Dan.
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever seen him try to do it before.
I have, just because I listened to the audio plays for Moonbreakers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The game.
And yeah, but they had like audio dramas that went along with it that Dan wrote.
Oh, I thought Brandon wrote those.
No. And I think Dan also is the one who wrote Dark One Forgotten.
I think it was together, but Dan may have been.
Yeah, I thought that was co-writing.
I think the co-writer, but I think it was more along the lines of like, because the way that Brandon co-writes with a lot of his people is they'll write it, he'll take a look at it, and he'll tweak it and stuff. But I think Dan is the one who built the framework.
Okay. I'm not sure.
I had no clue.
So
I knew he'd done the Moonbreaker stuff though.
Cool. But I just thought he did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
He did, yeah.
I really liked just getting. It's one of those cool things that you could just write like an atlas that covered these things, but instead they created a new character for it.
Mm-hmm.
And instead we get the joy of seeing them all, but through her lens. And so we get to see who she is through what she says.
I love
and who is she?
Senna called.
She is another of Hoy's apprentices.
And she's brand new.
I'm trying to figure out from her name where she might be from, but I can't really place that.
Not Phelan, because there's too many vowels.
Yeah, well, so it's Senna. I have it up on the screen. Senna called, Khald.
Part of me wonders if she is Vedden.
Yeah, I don't remember really a whole lot about their naming stuff, but Windrunner,
or maybe Carbranthian.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I'm just I really tried looking through, and I tried to find people, theorizing on it, but I couldn't find anyone theorizing on it. So, but I mean, I'm sure the 17 Shard already has it figured out. Speaking of, my favorite, apparently Argent got out the Zapruder film as Brandon threw down the manuscript and was trying to see if he could see the title by zooming and enhancing on the text. Unfortunately, apparently all it said was a novel by Brandon Sanderson.
Because he knew people were going to try and zoom, so he's like, not giving it to you that easy. No.
Dang it.
Brandon.
It was really funny. Actually, when the live stream, when he did his little video, I thought that the video had just stopped when he just did the stare. And then I was like, this is going for an awful long time. And then when he started moving again, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I did the same thing where I'm like, is my video frozen?
Oh, I knew exactly what was happening.
Because I just was like, oh, okay, it's just, he's going to announce things. It's fine. And then I was like, wait, that's sitting really still. And it's not going to like the stream ended or anything like that. It's still on it. What's going on?
No, as soon as he started doing the 1,000-yard stare, I knew something was going down.
No. Well,
I did not call yet another secret novel. I did not call that.
Yeah, I was unaware as well. Well, I mean, heck, literally talk about you want to have fun. Go back to the last episode where literally I was talking about like I think after the last one they're probably going to pull back because things have been a little insane, and it's the fans probably need a little bit of a breather. And then Brandon just says, "Hold your breath, punks."
I mean, at least it's only one. Not that I wouldn't want, 4 more.
Is it though?
You don't know that. At literally any moment, this man is capable.
I know. I'm still trying to read my way through.
If you get Brandon wet, he'll just start popping secret novels off of him.
I don't think Brandon's a gremlin.
Isn't he?
No.
You can't prove
midnight.
that.
He eats after midnight, I'm sure.
Yeah. Maybe that's the thing. We can't don't feed Brandon before noon.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's how we get secret novels.
He's a Lindgren.
Oh man.
But no, just another. He has that air of showmanship about him, and I love him for it.
If it's worth doing, it's worth doing with style.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Okay, so there's a few things we do know about the Secret Project. We know that it is a Cosmere novel. We know that it is as far future as there is. It's like the farthest future thing we're going to have, and it's very, very Cosmere related.
Did he say far future?
It did say far future.
He has said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But do we know that that's further than Sunlit Man?
Yes. He said it's the farthest out.
I think he said this is the farthest forward thing.
It was in the live stream afterwards or something like that.
Yeah, and I missed
and
that.
I only caught part of that live stream.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't watched it.
I've just sort of checked, I've been following chatter and stuff. So my prediction, and I don't know if this is it or not, because I think this could be the sequel to Six of the Dusk that we've been waiting on.
Ooh.
But
that is the far future.
I mean, I feel
he vacationed on a beach, so that's
I mean, thematic. You're not wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just look at the picture we showed, and he was clearly on a beach.
Yeah, obviously,
with the little nubby hands.
Yeah,
such nubby hands. But no, the other thing that was just cool about the announcement itself was him retelling the story of the Book of Endless Pages, which he's told that before with Moshe laughing at him being like, dude, you cannot release a book called the Book of Endless Pages. The jokes write themselves.
I don't see the problem here. If the jokes write themselves, that's publicity.
Yeah. I could see earlier in his career him worrying about people not wanting to buy his books. They just feel it's too long.
Oh yeah. But at this point, people would buy like an omnibus of the Stormlight Archive if they could.
What would that look like?
Well, I mean, I've seen people like splice together like the Wheel of Time or something like that with one spine, and it was insane.
Does it become a wheel?
No.
To be fair, isn't a Kindle essentially a Book of Endless Pages?
Kind of.
A storage limit.
But in theory, a Book of Endless Pages should be infinitely heavy.
Mm.
And that's a good way to determine if someone's worthy to be king. Can you open the Book of Endless Pages? It's one of Superman's greatest feats. He has opened a book with all the knowledge.
Not can you open it? Can you successfully check it out from the library? It's like Thor's hammer, but
yeah, I'm agreeing with Jameis. I think it's going to be maybe like a sequel to Sunlit Man. I think we're getting something with the Night Brigade.
Now, I don't know that it would necessarily be a sequel to The Sunlit Man, but I mean, sequels in within the Cosmere is a weird
Yeah.
term because I mean,
Yeah.
it's possible to say that the Stormlight Archive is a sequel to Warbreaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the loose sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
in the anthology sense.
I mean, look, obviously we're gonna find out and be talking about it next episode anyway, since
We'll have news then.
we're gonna get the chapter preview, and I have a feeling that's people are have more interest in that than whatever we were planning before.
What we were planning before was Words of Radiance. So
Yes.
I wouldn't mind doing the chapter preview just because that's a lot less that I have to read in the next 2 weeks.
Gives me more time to read Words.
Well, and who knows, if he keeps releasing secret novels, we may never get to reread through Stormlight. All I'm saying is he's now released 5 secret novels in 2 years. That's a secret novel like every 2 months or whatever.
Well, and he had written 5 before.
Yeah.
Like
And the other one's still just in development or something because it's
it's a graphic novel.
A graphic novel, yeah.
Yeah. With the Robo Frog.
Oh yeah.
Whose art I love.
Also, just so people are aware, the Words of Radiance leatherbound on backer kit is still at the top of the list of hot projects right now.
Yeah.
They're currently, just so people are aware, we are currently at $17.7 million. If you recall, before Brandon's previous Kickstarter, 22 million was the top, or 21 or 22 million was the previous Kickstarter record. This is on BackerKit, and we're already at 17.7 million, and it's been out a week.
Assuming this is in order, the next closest project's at 69,000. No, okay, never mind. I see what at 88,000. Okay, so it's not in order, but still.
And
He's
the poor backer kit website. They thought they were ready, but they weren't ready when it went live.
Look, everyone has a plan until Brandon punches them in the face.
Oh gosh, I don't know if this will surpass the secret project. It very well may, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
If it passes the secret, because that got up to like
okay, sorry,
40
sorry.
million.
When I was saying that, let me rephrase. I meant if it surpasses it in number of backers. I was just looking at
Gotcha. Okay.
I was looking because the number of backers right now is at 60,596.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, but I could see maybe it would just the idea it's less of a commitment. So maybe people who were unable to do the secret project, just due to the size of it, maybe they do the first secret project. I mean, they do that. And, let's face it, the first group of secret projects got more eyeballs on Brandon. Mm-hmm. He probably has a lot of new fans who are getting swept up in the fun.
Well, and the other thing is that this, the secret project is not the main drive of this, but it is an add-on for this Kickstarter. So if people want the secret project, they're going to back this, even if they don't necessarily back the leatherbounds or the plushies or what have you. Mm-hmm. They're still going to join it. So again, when I said what I said, I was specifically talking about the number of backers. Money-wise, who knows? If you want to go fully all in on this, though, you're going to be paying about 50% more than you paid for the full secret projects. Because if you want all of the plushies, that is $400.
Yeah.
Just for the plushies.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I know it feels like a lot, but for having that custom of a plushie and for the limited run they're doing, that is not a terrible price.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's not overpriced.
Yeah, because I mean, I wouldn't make a plushie like that for less than 40, and they're able to more mass produce them by far, but they still need to make money on it.
Honestly, if you were to do it, I would say you need to charge around 80 or 90.
Oh yeah, because it would be a lot more development that I would have to do.
But because they're able to mass produce in such a way,
no, it's just the power of Brandon.
Mm-hmm. There is a part of me that really wants, I am actually very, very grateful that the plushies are so expensive if you want all of them, because otherwise I probably would have ordered all of them and then had no idea what to do with them.
I resisted. We got Windrunner, which is my husband's, and we got
Edge Dancer.
Edge Dancer, and then I don't think we got a third one. I contemplated getting one, and then I don't think I did.
I find it amusing that that Jordan went with the Dustbringer because that thing is psychotic.
So okay, so this is the segue into the actual campaign, the vignettes. We didn't know much about the Dustbringers. Like we had
Little tidbits, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, we had little tidbits
Mhm.
here and there.
We had the little
But this was-
brief that he gave with the Radiance quiz.
Yeah,
It's the most we had.
and so the way Senna talked about it, and I'm hoping I'm saying that right. The way she talked about it, it made me realize while I am an Elts caller, and I definitely am an Elts caller, I wish, like the person I wish to be is more like a Dustbringer. The person who's trying to self-master and stuff like that. And on top of it, I love the psychotic look of the little plushie. And
of course you do.
it's a perfect conversation starter. And to be honest, the Elts Caller ink spren, just you know.
I actually kind of love the Else coloring spread.
Yeah, you see, I wasn't as big a fan of it.
His sword's gonna be cute though.
And the sword will be cute.
Yeah. So we're actually we're contemplating having our kids take the Night Radiant quiz and maybe getting them plushies for their orders.
That'd be adorable.
So I don't know, because I feel like they took the test, but I can't remember what they got, and so we're gonna have them take it again or ask them, and I forgot to do it today. Anyway.
Well, plus they're still developing their mentalities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think my son would definitely love. Yeah, my son would definitely love the Dustbringer look because he's all into the creepy.
Oh, of course he would.
Stuff. He's so much. It's ugh. Anyway, it's a whole thing at my house.
I'm just saying the Dustbringer is going to look perfect next to my Condra plushie. The inside out one.
I just think that Larry's going to be jealous.
No.
Yeah, well, look, Larry can just deal with things. It's what we're doing. People are doing nowadays. They're dealing with things.
Just deal with it.
Deal with it. So yeah. So let's sort of talk about each of these descriptions then. So with the Windrunners, it starts off with her explanation of, hey, Master Hoyd told me to make this compendium. Later, I'm going to make a much more,
detailed one.
Comprehensive one. But this is just sort of my initial thoughts. And I kind of love that we start with Windrunners because she has thoughts. She has opinions on Windrunners.
I love the line where she's like, and they fly, which I really was tempted to leave out just because I knew it would bug them. And I'm like, oh, she's had some tiffs with some Windrunners, I can tell.
I don't think she has. I don't think she's had tiffs. I think she's just annoyed by them.
No, that's true.
So this is what it reminds me of. In the 90s, I'm a big baseball fan. I'm a Texas Rangers fan. We just won the World Series. Oh my goodness. But I hated the Yankees so much, not because they were better than us. It was because they also looked cooler doing it. Like Derek Jeter was a superstar. He was dating like supermodels and like golden or Grammy winning singers. They were coming into like the coolest entrance music ever, like they're WWE wrestlers. And it was just like, and they just kept sweeping us out. And it just pissed me off. I was just like, it's not enough that you have to beat us. You have to do it with style too. You can't even you have to just be like, look how cool we are. And I think that's what, for her, the Windrunners kind of are. They're just like, ooh, look at us spreading justice. Aren't we so cool?
Well, because she's frustrated. She's like, and they're just good at everything. And they're just good. And it's the kind of thing where it's just somebody is so good at something. They're like, and by hating you for this, it makes me worse.
Which is
and that's always annoying. Like the least they could do is be jerks about it.
Because then you're like, well, then they're pompous, but it's just like, no, they're just good all the time.
I did love her line. It's like, don't bother asking them.
Because they'll tell you.
Yes, like, how do you know somebody's a Windrunner? They'll tell you.
They'll tell you.
Well, and especially now, I can't figure out the year thing as far as the timeline, even though she gives us dates.
Yeah.
But assuming it's like she's somewhat around like the Stormlight era we know,
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
then it's Kaladin's group that she's mostly aware of. And we know all about Kaladin's drama queenness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just looming places. So I'm sure from an outside perspective, not knowing them, you're just looking at them just like, you're so cool. I'm
brooding
gonna
and-
fly.
Well, and
Yeah.
you can tell her, you tell how frustrated she's like. They call themselves soldiers. They put themselves into squad. It's just like, come on, stop taking yourself so freaking seriously. And
But
now she said that I believe she said that she's a bit of an edge. Or no, she says she's a dancer, and so she
Yeah, I
appreciates
think
edge dancers.
Mhm.
Which honestly, thinking if these are people akin to Lift, I could totally see them wanting to take the air out of the Windrunners a bit, to take the wind a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
yeah. But also just talking about the plushie that we have of Syl.
Freaking adorable. This is the first plushie that we saw at
Mhm.
Dragonsteel, which again, we
Yeah.
haven't seen the actual plushies, just the designs, but my
Yeah.
gosh.
The concept art for this is absolutely adorable.
Yes, it is.
But yeah.
She's just so
It's just-
joyful.
So the cool thing about the backer kit is that you can it tells you the number of people who have bought things.
Yeah. There's a lot
really?
of
So-
Honor
Yeah. And so I mean, Honor Spren is one of the more popular things to begin with, but I think the cuteness of the plushie sends it absolutely
Mhm.
over to the moon,
Mhm.
Oh man.
because there's over 2,000 of those and no one else has hit that number.
Yeah, I think the next one is where'd it go?
Cryptics.
Cryptics, yeah, at 1,000 and almost 1,200.
Oh, the
Yeah,
poor,
so they're almost double the next closest one.
the
Mhm.
poor Peak Sprint and Ash Sprint are only at 99.
Only 99.
Hey, I'm one of them. I'm a special ash flake.
I was a little bit tempted to get a Peak Spren just because I'm gonna play in another testing session of the Stormlight game, and I'm gonna be a Stone Ward. So, but I didn't. But they are cute. So,
Okay. Yeah, no, the Spren is utterly adorable. She's just got these big, bright eyes. It's very clear that it's inspired by Syl, even if this isn't necessarily Syl.
Mhm.
But she's got a flowing dress. Come on,
the
that's
hair
Syl.
and the curls and the swirls. It's
Mhm.
arty.
Yeah, and the long hair all the way down her back. It's just, yeah,
Mhm.
it's, I love it. This is one that I am actually very tempted to add on to my pledge, even though I've already got the Edge Dancer one coming. Okay, so let's move on then to the Skybreakers.
Yes. 346 purchased.
Good to know. Now, actually, speaking of the plushies, I kind of love this one.
It's
The whole in reality, it's got wild, crazy hair. One of the eyes is a star.
that's the only eye. It doesn't have the other eye.
The
It's
other eye
cool.
is invisible.
We can't see it. For
We don't know
whatever
what
reason.
it is. We don't know if
Definitely
it's
the most eldritch of all the Spren.
I'm very
Yeah.
interested to see this one put into practice, because
Yeah.
just like actually what it would look like in plushie form rather than just the design.
I think they'll find
No.
a good galaxy-ish fabric or
Mhm.
design a fabric like that, and then just use that, and that'll get a lot of the look.
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
they'll get an actual hole in reality fabric.
At this point, I'm not willing to put anything past Dragonsteel.
I worry about the ethics of
Made
that.
with actual void stuff.
Oh boy.
And then suddenly the Eldritch puppy that is Nightblood pokes his head around the corner of the hole in reality and yips at you.
Yip of reality. All right. No, so the actual Skybreakers piece.
Mhm.
One, we've already seen that. I think she tends, like, on the Chaos versus Order, she already seems to lean more towards like the more chaos
Mhm.
side of things. And so the Skybreakers, I think, like she doesn't make fun of them the way she makes fun of the Windrunners, but you can tell she's a little more wary of them. Not wary might be too strong a word, but distant. But that makes sense with the Skybreakers because they're not exactly
friendly.
Yeah. Like she says, like they have a stodgy reputation.
That said, she also does kind of appreciates like now they have these standards, but those standards apply to everyone, whether you're like a little scrub or whether you're a god. So
yeah.
Yep.
Well, and that's the problem with the Skybreaker Order as it exists right now, is they all swore themselves to follow Nail, who's, insane.
A little broken, yeah.
He's a little kookaburras.
And so, like, I wonder, like, is it year 30? Where's year 31 compared to what?
I honestly don't recall.
I
haven't paid enough attention to that aspect of the videos.
And it seems
I should have looked into it.
Yeah, like,
well, they're all in year 31.
Okay, so that makes slightly better because I was worried that they had spread them out over multiple years, which wouldn't make sense if she's a new apprentice and she was only doing a small snippet through all this time. But
yeah, they're all in year 31. Which, for the record, the final one on the Bondsmiths, it was the date is 6/31. But
dude, how did I not?
That was definitely pounced on by the internet.
I'm not good with the conspiracy stuff. It just every time. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, no, and so I like the idea of like this is the actual. And obviously we're going to get a lot more of this with Zeth being the focus of the next book, but the idea of what the Skybreakers are supposed to be. And we're now seeing it like through her. It's like they're supposed to be not just people who uphold the law, but hold the law to account.
Yeah.
But they frankly sound far more vigilante than we were given so far in the books, because they take the law into their own hands at a certain point. And it's kind of cool. And so, I don't know. It was just one of those, like, it wasn't the showiest one, but it's just like, I like seeing this idea of that they're the ones who watch the Watchers.
So here's a note. This is from Librelita in chat. Actually, they gave a link because there was somebody who asked, or they've kind of figured it out in the 17th shard, or this is on Reddit. In Way of Kings, chapter 19, Dalinar flashes back to 8th Epoch, 337. All these other things on the Shattered Plane. Presumably the 6th Epoch is before the 8th, so Senecald is writing these like a really, really long time before the events of Stormlight Archive.
So this may have been the first time that Hoyd was on the...
So this is maybe not... This is probably not Kaladin's Windrunners and everything else. This is way before. Which means Hoyd has bopped back and forth, which we knew, but it's kind of interesting to have that. So thank you.
Well, yeah, because
that was what I was looking for. I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, we know the heralds already know Hoyd because Ash mentioned Cephandrius.
Okay, I'd forgotten that.
That was the issue. I didn't know what epoch we were in.
Yeah, like I do not keep track of that very well, so I appreciate that other people do.
This is what the copper mine's for.
Yes, this is in the Reddit Cosmere thing.
But no, the Skybreakers are definitely very interesting, just because, I mean, they run into that classic superhero dilemma of being the vigilante and what's going too far and who are you to decide type of thing. But that's why you look at their O's. It's interesting that their O's actually are the closest ones in relation to the others, that they're not a set thing, that they're about finding personal justice.
Yeah.
Sort of similar to how the Lightweavers focus on saying, personal truths to them. And I don't know. It's interesting because I would put them on opposite sides of just sort of just how they, go about their lives, yet they sort of follow the same path of trying to figure out what does this mean to me. And so, I don't know, just found it interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I was
then-
distracted looking at reading
figure-
about the epochs.
No worries.
So
But yeah, so the next one was the
Dustbringers.
Dustbringers. And like I said, this may be like, man, I wish I was a Dustbringer.
yeah, I've said several times that Sylar from Heroes is kind of the villainous example of a Dustbringer.
And
But I love this idea of they have to know how to control themselves.
Mhm.
it's very, very much self-control and like just knowing how things tick and how they work. And like she talked about them taking bridges apart because
Mhm.
they do it for fun. So yeah, they can take apart the enemy's bridges because they know how they work.
Yeah. Well, and in order to build stuff, you gotta know how to take it apart.
Yep.
Yes.
It's very
And so-
reminiscent of John Cleaver from the I Am Not a Serial Killer books as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, but it's also, if you've ever met the people who they do take things apart and try and figure out how they work.
Mhm.
And like, I love that they're sort of the sappers of these armies.
Right.
They're the ones that figure out how to bring things down. Now, when they have what is the surge
Abrasion.
of abrasion? God, I couldn't
Mm.
think of it. And can just melt things.
It's creepy.
Mhm.
It's like that's a lot of power that you have to know how to wield. And unlike the sky, because we haven't seen the Skybreakers really use the surge yet.
No.
No, we haven't.
We've only seen them use gravitation.
Well, and like they don't even have full access to it at particular. Like theirs is very interesting. You know, when we watch Zeth progressing through the different oaths of the Skybreakers, he starts out just with gravitation, and he doesn't have abrasion yet because it's so dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Division,
Division.
abrasion.
Yeah,
Abra-
abrasion is.
Yeah,
Abrasion-
abrasion's the slidey.
Yeah.
Right, which they also have.
Yes. But it's just one of those things.
Sorry,
Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do. Okay.
Yeah, they're the next one over.
Yeah, it's the friction one.
Mhm.
But just this idea of, it's basically like having the power of decay itself.
Mhm.
Like you can just cause things to break down. It's sort of the opposite of regrowth in some ways.
Mhm.
Which puts them in an interesting position right next to the
Edge dancers.
right next to the edge dancers, who they can slide and heal, whereas they can slide and decay.
Mhm.
But because we've seen I forget what her name was, but the Dustbringer that was working for the diagram, and she like put her hand on the table,
Burned it.
and with a flash she made like this wood carving into the
You're talking about Malata?
Yes.
I think that was her name. Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah. We haven't had a lot of Malata.
No, we haven't seen her very much.
No, nothing.
No.
Okay.
I smiled for you. That's what you got.
I felt it was worth at least chuckle, but I'll settle for smile.
Okay.
But which is like, it's actually cool because you actually see the artistic use of something like
Mhm.
that, where you could actually do that for art. But it's also kind of a scary thing to know that
Mhm.
you could do that to a person. And that's the one thing we haven't seen. We haven't seen any void bringers who or not void bringers, fused, who use division, but we know they exist. I think L is going to be someone who uses division.
That's possible. I wouldn't.
Well,
The reason I say that is because in the short little scene we get where the pursuer comes back from the dead,
yeah.
L says something to the fact that you don't mess with someone with his abilities.
And then the
I'm just like, and to me, I'm just like, Division. It's got to be Division.
Did we see him get killed or?
Yeah, but he gets truly killed because they test out
the knife. Okay.
Yeah.
the knife on him just to see.
That's right. Okay.
So does this work with the way we think it does?
Okay, it does.
Well, got to use it on someone disposable.
That's you. Yeah, just a little scary.
So, but it's one of the reasons why it makes sense why everything for them is all about self-mastery. Because it's the whole Spider-Man thing. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And so for them, the two are literally tied together.
Right.
If you aren't someone who can control yourself, you cannot have these powers.
Right.
Yeah.
Because and you notice who's the other group that has it? The Skybreakers, the other really self-disciplined order.
It's sort of like you look at the vessels for the different shards. 80 is the one who was given ruin.
Yeah.
Because 80 was said to be a very good man. He was the one who was fighting against this temptation for all that time, and finally, that's what happened. And it's just sort of, you have this dangerous of an ability, you place it in the hands of the people who know how to respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know. She just made me really like them, and it's like, this is the type of person I wish I was.
Interesting.
I am an Elts caller. I wish I was this.
There's a lot of the orders that I read the descriptions and I was like, oh, I wish I was that. That's such a good quality. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of things. I can't be all of the different orders.
There's a lot of them that I've felt a connection to, and then I realized my second is Bondsmith. So, all right.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. So next after Dustbringers is Edge Dancers.
Ta-da!
And this is mine and Amy's.
Mine.
Are you guys graceful and elegant and refined?
No.
I can be, but not always.
That's actually which is kind of cool, because the Edge Dancers are that contradiction. Because a lot of them are the most down to earth, but they're also the graceful ones and the artists, but they want to get down in the dirt and help people around them and
remember them and take care and just help out. Yeah.
I love the different or ideals of the Edge Dancers.
And the
I remember, I'm trying to remember, wasn't that something that Nail said to Lift in Edge Dancer? And it's like, I believe he said something to the effect of, your order is supposed to be graceful, and here you are sliding around on your knees. And
yeah, I think somebody made that comment about that. It's probably Nail.
Yeah. Well, and then Lift saw the fuse that was doing that at the Battle of Thalen City.
Like, what?
And Lift is like, what the crap? And I still just imagine like an ice skater. Like they just use it to just sort of ice skate everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
And she's like, man, I can look cool, but I don't look that cool. I don't that refined,
she's doing things like Aladdin, just scampering, around and just barely getting by.
And they're Disney's Tarzan.
Oh yeah, just
skating down the vines.
Yeah.
So,
and then she's like, where is that non-diegetic music coming from? No, I just love this idea that this is it's interesting to me that this is what Senna focuses on, that they have this grace and elegance, but they spend their time with the poor and the sick. That they remember people, because normally elegance and refinement are things associated with a higher class of person. Yeah. Because if you're just barely scraping by, you don't have time for things to be elegant and refined. You need to be getting things done.
Yeah, you're jury rigging stuff.
And the Edge Dancers are just like, these are the people who need this sort of beauty.
But yeah. Well, and just, from what little we've seen, I think it's less that they're like they're trying to spread beauty everywhere to these people. 'Cause I don't even think they think of themselves
Oh,
as,
absolutely.
as elegant
Yeah.
and graceful. Like there's a natural humility that comes with it.
Like I said, they're very
Which is-
down to earth.
which is hilarious compared to Lift, who literally calls herself awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and again, that's why Nail's just like, wait, what's going on here?
It's like, this is not right.
But again, Lift she's a street urchin. She's, just again, she's been raised on the streets. And so she brings sort of a different angle to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that's interesting is it also now that we understand that, this is in the past, this actually, it's sort of in some ways a fulfillment of prophecy, Lift is, because she made her best friend king, and and it's clear the court wants her around. Like they actually like her, but she's uncomfortable in the refinement.
Right.
Oh yeah. She's like, I'm supposed to just be sneaking by and stuff, and you guys are like paying attention and giving
by,
me a room
eating
and
pancakes,
just not comfortable,
stealing people's food.
And again, just there's something about Edge Dancer that completely changed my opinion of Lift as a character. When I say like about Edge Dancer, about the book Edge Dancer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was so annoying in her little prelude,
in her introduction. Yeah.
Okay.
And when they announced Edge Dancer, like I did the whole like noise.
I've actually seen a couple posts on Reddit just saying, do I really have to read Edge Dancer? She drives me crazy with her awesomeness. I'm just like, ooh, it's me from 5 years ago or however many years ago.
She didn't bug me the same way she bugged you guys, but yeah, it's okay.
But well, like I said, she's become one of my favorites. So,
and I think I heard that one of Brandon's favorite plushies was the Cultivation Sprint too. That makes me happy.
Well, I mean, it's a little
window.
Bearded dwarfy dude who, he looks like his belly, shakes like a bowl full of jelly.
He's adorable. Not that they aren't all adorable, but he's his own special kind of adorable.
Yes.
Yeah, he's especially adorable.
Yes.
I love that.
He's a gnome.
There's a reason he's on the thumbnail. All right.
All right. Well, let's
What was
move
the
on
next
to
one?
Truth
Truth
Watchers.
Watchers.
This one was interesting. Just this whole angle of this just reminds me of every nerd conversation I've ever had. The fact that they love to argue, but the thing is, it's not this. Like, a lot of people see the arguing on the internet and they think it's a lot of times this really tense thing, but a lot of times it's not tense. It's just nerds being nerds. And we argue over pedantic things sometimes because we want things to be exact and precise. And we can argue about who would win, Superman or Goku, and yell at each other, but we're fine. And I just love this concept.
And yet when our former roommate Breakfast and I had discussions, it would drive you up the wall.
Yeah, that's because you guys aren't arguing in good faith. You're trying to annoy me, and I can tell.
Yeah,
Not always.
I just go with the opinion that Goku and Superman would just be like, why would we fight each other? You're cool. You're nice. This is fine.
Yeah. Well, by the rules, they have to fight.
Oh, well, that's dumb. I don't like that.
No, that's
it's their first time at Fight Club?
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness. I don't like Fight
No,
Club.
it's the rules of death battle.
No.
You pit them together, and they have to fight to the death, and that's just the rules.
Ugh. Anyway.
But yeah, I like how they how Senna mentions like Truth Watchers is kind of a misnomer. These are the truth
finders and sharers and
finders and sharers and noticers and appreciators.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely the all data wishes to be free type of people.
And the Miss Brent plushie is really cute. It kind of makes me think of like a Venetian mask. Almost.
Which means that they're kind of the anti-Hoyd. Because Hoyd likes his secrets. But Kelsier, on the other hand, he's all of the, we're going to find all the information.
But I don't know that Kelsier quite would be a truth watcher, though.
No, but I think he would appreciate them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd have them in his crew.
Kelsier would love to work with Truth
He
Watchers.
would ally
wouldn't be
themselves
one
with himself with Truth
because
Watchers.
he doesn't want to share his personal secrets. He keeps those things close to the chest because he also understands the power
Mhm.
of a secret.
Yes.
And so, look, we all, if there's anything Scadrial is big on, it's duality.
Mm.
And like literally their god is now duality itself. Kelsier himself. I mean, I think they even talk about that in the book. It's like, he's called the survivor, but he literally died.
Mhm.
Mhm.
He's the survivor of death.
Yes.
And you just, it's that inherent contradiction. But it's also just interesting to see this because we haven't seen a proper Mistbren yet.
Yeah, we've only seen
We've only seen the corrupted one.
Mhm.
Fair enough.
And so, but it's also nice to see what this order is outside of, just whatever weirdness is going on with Renarin. Just
We have seen a proper one in the cognitive realm
yes,
because they're the Reachers. Is that what they're called?
no.
No.
The Reachers are the ones who run the ship, but the Mistbren were on the ship with them.
Were they the ones who were biting their?
I thought they were the.
Or that was
Mistbren.
Ashspren who were doing.
No, the Reachers are the Will Shaper Spren.
That's right. Because they were talking about.
That's right. Yeah.
Timber.
But Mistbren were on the ship because Shalon talks about their creepy masks.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. No gloves.
But all Spren are kind of creepy in some way, shape, or form.
Very, very true. All right.
But no, the thing I really liked about just this whole thing is because Renarin is a very unique case, and he's really kind of been our only true look into the Truth Watchers, and you don't know what part of it is being a Truth Watcher, what part of it is the Spren being corrupted, and what part of it is Renarin being Renarin, because he's kind of an odd duck. But this is a good way of seeing it. The one thing I do remember that, because the Light Weavers in them, they share the same is it illumination? Is that the surge?
Illumination.
Yeah. That's about right.
And they use it to craft disguises and falsities, whereas we know they use it to somehow reveal truth.
Right. The truth.
And
the
we've
Truth
seen him.
Watchers do.
We've seen him do some weird stuff that reminds me of like when Vin burns the 11th metal and she can see like a possible past version of herself. This seems like he sort of does a showing of a possible future version of people, because he did that to Moash.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
where
he was more like Kaladin.
and it drove Moash insane. He's like, gotta get out of here. Did not like that.
Yeah.
I saw my
Well,
loss.
and again, we still don't have a fully clear, because again, he's a corrupted Truth Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So who knows, what of that, because he also sort of has a bit of foresight, but it seems like that's more from the corrupted Spren rather than
It's
from him being a Truth Watcher.
No, and so it's just one of those things that I really liked. Just her getting that little bit of look into it. Just because they are kind of unique.
Mm-hmm. We have seen another Truth Watcher, because that is because Yim was a Truth Watcher, wasn't he? Yim,
yeah.
And Stump was also a Truth Watcher.
We haven't really seen them do stuff within their station,
right?
Is what
other than some healing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I want, and the healing, it's like, no offense, but healing in the Cosmere is kind of basic at this point. We've seen it a bunch of different ways. I want to see what these illumination powers are.
Yeah. Plus, like
you can heal like 9 different ways in the Cosmere.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon likes his heroes and villains to be durable.
Yep.
Okay, well, speaking of illumination, let's move on to the Light Weavers. And the Cryptics.
Cryptics.
Somehow are adorable without a face.
I have a suspicion. Yes, there have been several Cryptics sold as well.
Cryptics are the second highest.
Yeah, that's the 1,190.
Almost 1,200.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the only other ones that have gone over 1,000. So,
To be fair, they're cheating a bit because they have both pattern and design representing them.
That's true.
And design is just endearing.
Yeah.
She tells us herself.
She is.
Also,
She's
to be
got great
fair,
cosines.
we need to add 563 to every other order because 563 of the sets of 10 have also been sold.
Yes, that's also true.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
The everything pack.
well, then the numbers would still say the same difference.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
it's the same difference, but I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. But
It's
there's-
like, for example, if we say, only 99 Ashspren have been sold, technically over 600 Ashspren have been sold.
but only 99 single
Right.
ones.
No, it's just adorable.
Mhm.
Also, someone pointed something out. This is a complete aside, but I brought up design. Someone pointed out that who was design originally going to Bond?
Elokar.
Elokar.
Elokar. Someone pointed out that Elokar might have actually named her. If you go into Words of Radiance, he sees the design on Shallan's skirt because
Mhm.
Pattern's hanging on it. He's like, I've seen that design before.
Oh.
Yep.
Which she's shocked because like no one should be able to see Pattern, but he's literally been haunted because he's been seeing the cryptics around.
Mhm.
He's like, I've seen that design before, and someone pointed that out recently. I wish I could find it. I had it saved on a different computer, but I'm just like, that's a good catch. He did technically name her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll accept it. I'll keep that because Elokar deserves a little bit of credit, I think,
Mm.
more than he gets.
At least a little.
He
I mean,
was
don't get me wrong.
started
He had problems, but he deserves more credit than he gets.
Yeah.
He's trying.
So, but what does Cinna think of the Lightweavers?
Yeah. No.
I know she's intrigued by the fact that they tell
Well-
truths about themselves rather than swear
Yeah.
the oaths.
Well, first of all, I like that this is what started everything. That it was her pondering upon that difference is what made her want to do this.
Mhm.
I really like her angle that she has for it, where she's thinking about why is it truths for them, whereas everyone else swears a little more rigid oaths.
Mhm.
And she ties it to the fact that they're the spy masters.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go undercover, and the truths about yourself help ground you
Mhm.
Yeah.
so that you know who you are.
Yep.
But the thing everything with the orders is their first oaths sort of give the general gist of it, and then it seems like as it goes on, it starts to become okay. But what about the exception to that, where it's the sort of mollifying virtues that go along with it? And so in
Mhm.
this case, she's taking it as they first need to know about themselves, and as they infiltrate, they start learning about others. And it reminded me a lot, strangely, of Kaladin when he started moving with the recently awakened singers
Mm-hmm.
and started seeing their perspective on things, and it caused him to really have issues because he's like, I see it from their perspective. So what is this? What is protecting? And that, and it was just interesting that she came up with this, like, this is her view of why it has to be that way, is you first have to learn truths about yourself before you can really start to understand everyone else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it's also important when you start delving into and putting yourself in other people's shoes, it's useful to have that anchor into your own self. The other thing that's interesting is, when you're swearing oaths, there is, a strength behind the fact that oaths are binding. But when you are a spy and you're placing yourself behind enemy lines, sometimes you got to break some rules.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than having an oath that you can break, it's nice to have a little bit more freedom.
Sorry, my brain just thought of Toph when you said break some rules.
Because she totally would.
Break some rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so you got to have that centering piece. And look, sometimes, I mean, there's a little bit of this in the other orders as well. Like we see Teft, I'll protect those I hate, even if the one I hate is myself.
Mhm.
He's admitting a truth about, and Lopen, the same thing.
Yep.
Where they're admitting something about themselves. But for the Light Weavers, that's true throughout their oaths. Because we see that with Shallan, in Way of Kings, where she finally admits, I killed my father.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next will be the else colors, but we really need to take a break. So
yeah, I was going to say that.
We'll see you on the other side. And we're back. So Jordan, we've just talked about light weavers. What else?
She's a big meanie, and she doesn't like clearly the best order.
You mean the else colors?
Yeah.
Why is that the best order?
Because it's mine. Clearly.
Oh, I see.
I see.
Isn't that how we define things? No, not how we're doing things.
I mean, I feel like we've got at least 2-1 on this, but
We're working on sociopathy. Got it. Okay. But no, I love that she starts off. Is it bad to say I don't like them? I don't trust them. I'm just going to read it. Is it bad to say I don't like one of the Radiant Orders because I don't like else colors? It's not that I don't trust them per se. It's that I don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it or what their final goals might be. So yes, fine, you're right. I don't trust them.
Uh-huh.
And all things considered, I don't think that's the wrong reaction, actually.
To be fair, I don't trust you. So
yeah, you shouldn't. Smart. Good call, Lur. But no, one of the things that as she's because Brandon's talked about this, about people have asked him, it's like, the first oath that they all have to swear is journey before destination. And we've talked about things like how, people like Kelsier and Taravangian are very destination before journey type people, where they start with an end goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And they've asked him, it's like, don't some of the other orders kind of have destination before journey going on? And he said things like, Elts Callers and Skybreakers can kind of do that a little bit.
Yeah.
And we see that with Yesna. Yesna was fully willing to do a genocide on the Parshmen to prevent them from becoming Void Callers. And that's not very journey before destination. It's definitely no life before death.
Well, I mean, even, on a much smaller scale, her lesson to Shallan, where she not murdered, but killed 3 guys. Yes, it was self-defense, but at the same time, she kind of entrapped them into it. It's a very destination before journey, death before life mindset.
Yeah. Well, I like her because Senna starts off talking about this all very negatively, and she tries to walk it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, it's all about potential and progress, who you can become, and that sounds great, but, what if you want to be a king or a tyrant, a thief, a criminal mastermind, a murderer? Else Caller oaths and values can help you be that too.
Mm-hmm. Well, she says, she's like, what if you want to be a king? Oh, wait, kings can be good. And then she continues on like, wait, need to back that up.
Well, that's the interesting thing also that I've heard people calling out with the way that she attacked the Robert Muggers thieves, whatever they're called, the like the one who she turned into fire was like, he was hot-headed, he was coming after her and he was attacking her. The one who she turned into smoke was trying to flee. The one who she turned into
glass or
stone, crystal,
I
think it was crystal. Like I think he was just sort of, in a solid stance, like just I'm not moving anywhere. And it's just sort of she was literally helping them become what they wanted to be in that exact moment. in a very, very dark way.
Yeah. But it gets to that whole point of we know she's progressed far in the Oaths because we've seen her now fighting in her armor.
Yeah.
But we haven't really seen the Oaths,
No, hers have all been off screen. And
Which-
we'll probably see more when we get to her book in the back half.
Yeah, we'll get flashbacks or whatever else.
Yeah. I mean, we do know that they have logic spren as their plate.
Mhm.
And that's interesting because it does call out how the fact that they're scholars.
Uh-huh. Well, and ink spren is their blade, and that's ink is literally recording information as you find it.
Well, and the interesting thing about ink spren is the fact that they, unlike the other spren,
Mhm.
they don't have fluid look to them. They're always the exact same size or the exact same shape, but can change their size.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting because it's this, even though they're ink spren, which you would think is this very fluid thing, they're actually quite static because it's the idea of what logic is ink is potential, but logic is once the ink hits the page, once it's written down, measured and weighed, and that's what they're trying to do.
I think of like pencil versus ink, and
Mhm.
pencil you can erase and do other things. Ink is far harder to do that, so that makes a little more sense to me why it is inked. It is set in stone. It is the way it is.
It's also in line with the Ardents who were studying flame spren, and as things are observed and recorded, it locks things into place.
Yeah.
So with an ink spren, it makes sense that they would be locked into place.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where I really want to see what their oaths are, because it's very clear that reaching one's potential is a very vague thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see what is the growth of that oath and how does that. Yeah. It's also the other thing because I do remember Yesna say, I can't remember this, what I just remember her saying to Ivory at one point. Ivory was just talking about how, saying, I think it might have been talking about Shalon or something, like, she's unstable, and Yesna being like, you think all humans are unstable.
I also like that Ivory, again, seems to be kind of an exception to prove the rule. When you talk about ink, Ivory is not what you think of. Ivory is, ebony versus ivory. Ebony is what I would think of first when I think of ink, but Ivory is a very white, very pale material.
Yeah.
And so
if I remember correctly, she actually talks about how he took the name because he was sort of defying the rest of his kind.
Exactly.
Because they were saying, don't bond humans.
Exactly.
I'd forgotten about that.
So, all right. Well, let's move on to. Have we talked about the plushies then?
Well,
oh no, we
did a little bit. We said the sword was cool, and they're just very dark and stoic, and
it's very Ronin, sort of the wandering samurai look.
Yeah,
it's like so many of the others are smiling. They're actually frowning and looking really
looks
tough.
Militaristic is kind of what I think of because he's wearing armor almost.
Well, and they've also got the inverted eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is fun.
Mm-hmm. All white people.
So, in a creepy way.
But yeah, I kind of love the ink spren. They're just, the stoic warrior.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be very interested to see on a plushie how that sword turns out.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like an issue.
And I wonder, will they make it removable or not? That's my question.
I doubt that they will on that. But I don't know.
Write it down, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to will shapers.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this one because she's talking about how their goal is to basically everybody should be whatever they want to be and do and believe. And,
Yep.
They're the ones that want to break some rules.
They're the ones who don't want there to be any rules, because any sort of rule is oppression. And, but they're also the ones.
They're the full positive anarchy party.
But they're also like, if we need a bridge, we'll build a bridge. If we need they'll build a lot of the stuff as long as it needs to be built, which makes sense with their power, their ability to manipulate Earth.
Yeah. That's a pretty awesome one. Once we finally started seeing Venli start to get access to those powers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And literally like she's parting stone like it's clay.
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
I'm worried she'll have an accident if I don't pick her up. So.
Isn't that actually how she rescues Lift? Like she basically...
Yeah, they walk through walls.
Yeah, they go through the wall.
Which is, a decent way to do it, especially when your enemy thinks the only people who can do that are their people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of course.
She is their people.
Yeah. Well, one of man, their version of that is creepy, where they just sort of wade through stone.
Yeah.
Like that's just disturbing.
But she talks about how if this needs to be built, this is what if this needs to be built to make freedom, then they'll build it. If this needs to be built to make freedom, they'll build it. But sometimes they break things too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if there's a despot who is oppressing people, well,
they're not going to stand for that. Yeah,
he's crazy and needs to go down.
Yeah, you're oppressing. We do not go for oppression at all. Personal
Well,
fulfillment.
and that's what Venli runs into when she tries to swear her second oath, and they're like, "No,
no."
And so, why not? And then she realizes, oh, I just saw a child in a cage and literally did nothing.
So that's kind of contradictory.
Well, and it's just that moment where she realizes these O's are going to be a lot harder to keep than I'd like, because she's been sitting there having to be a fence sitter because of the way that she's walked into everything. And now she's finally going to have to pick a side.
Yep.
And that is not will shapers don't pick don't waffle.
The other thing that's interesting is that she is, she has Eshonai's spren. She's kind of filling the gap that Eshonai left when she died.
Well, and you see that insecurity too.
Because Eshonai was the free spirit. She was the one who wanted to go out. She wanted to be a cartographer and just map out everything. And Venli is kind of filling the role that was left after Eshonai died, largely due to Venli's own actions.
Yeah.
Because Venli's the one who started.
See that guilt. Yeah. She has that terrible guilt.
Mm-hmm.
She enslaved her people.
Yes.
It wasn't what she thought was going to happen, but it is what happened.
So she's still responsible.
And at the same time, she enslaved herself. She became the speaker for one of the she is the voice of and so she's Raboniel.
Oh, that's
and so she's there not to be free herself, but to serve someone else.
Yeah. But you do see the part of her that is that will shaper, because she was the one breaking the rules that they weren't supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she also, every time she took a new position, it was because she was trying to find a position with a little more wiggle room than the last one to give herself a little more freedom so that she could actually do things without being under constant watch.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's definitely got that same spirit as her sister, but in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In a very conflicted way.
Yeah. Well, and you see it in the flashbacks between them where the mother is always complaining about Eshonai. She's always off doing this. Not like Venli, who, she stays home and takes care of things. But then as they got older, very similar to Vivina and Ciri, they ended up taking the other one's role.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point, then Eshaniah dies, and she's literally taking up that, like going back, trying to rediscover the thing that she lost.
Yes. Yeah. Which really does make for an interesting conflict. I don't feel like it was explored as well as it could have been in Rhythm of War, but I think there's still a lot of very interesting stuff in that story to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially now that they're just palling around with a chasm fiend now.
Oh, yeah.
Want to know what that's about?
But yeah. Okay, so after the Will Shapers, we go to the Stone Wards. This is Talon's order.
Mm-hmm.
These are the foot soldiers. These are the, again, get in the dirt and just make stuff happen.
What? And I love how she's sort of, the whole thing is like her opening line. If I tell you that a stone ward is solid and dependable, does that surprise you? It shouldn't, because very little about stone wards is surprising. And you see the part of her, she kind of craves novelty.
Mm-hmm.
You see the way she writes about a lot of these other orders, and she's clearly partial to things like the Will Shapers, things like the oh my gosh, I'm blanking on lifts.
Edge
Dancers.
Like these people who are
fluid.
They're more vibrant and fluid.
Mm-hmm.
But the stone wards are literally just old reliable.
I love the Stone Wards.
And I think she had some line about like, and they're just always doing things. Like if they've got that taken care of, and they just go to the next thing, and they're just go and do. And I'm like, yeah, like now that
they're the thing every organization needs.
Yeah.
But I love her last line where she's like, they're always there when you need them, so make sure you're there for them too.
Just like give them some food. Like, they are your friend. Just keep them around. Like, it's weird now that we're talking about it. I think my mom would probably be a stone ward. She hasn't read anything Cosmere, but from the description, I'm like, I feel like that's kind of my mom. Maybe
it's
a little
just
bit.
sort of just appreciate them, and they will move mountains for you.
Mm-hmm. And they enjoy the challenge, and just they don't gripe about it. They just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I just love this idea, because they're the things that you need in every organization in order for it to be successful. But they can go so chronically underappreciated because they don't look for achievement. They just want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And you just learn that, yeah, they're just always going to do it. And then if they ever get fed up and they leave, then you're in trouble.
Yep.
Yeah. It's easy to take them for granted because they're so quiet about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just what they do. But it's like, but do you want them to keep doing it? Because
treat them nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting for the fact that they're the stone wards. They're also they're sort of the grease that gets everything done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So just apply the grease. Take care of the grease, because the grease is important.
Yeah. It was very. And then I don't know. I like the plushie for this.
I kind of love the Peak Scrim plushie. It's adorable and terrifying, because it's got the whole creepy otherworldly tears that are constantly coming down. Well, which is, I don't think they're necessarily tears. They're just like the cracks and the glowing.
The cracks and that's like the one that we see in Rhythm of War. It exposes like a molten core to them.
But in the plushie, it blends in with the eyes, and so there's like this eerie quality to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the arms and the legs too, but you don't see that as much from the front. From the side, but you can see it goes down the arm.
She's got cute little beret.
She does.
And a little skirt.
A very stylish.
It kind of makes me of like the Highland Scottish, a little bit, especially with the green.
Uh-huh.
So,
which, given that they're Peak Spren,
it's cute.
They're definitely not lowlanders.
No.
And her hands are in just a very prim little position. It's almost like
I like little
a ballet.
She's pulling up her sleeve like, let's get to work. It's just cute.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's just
I
think it's a good one.
Mm-hmm. All right, well,
it's tied with the Ash Spren for the least purchased, which is interesting because one of the questions, it's like they tend to like the outdoors.
Mhm.
And so I think Brandon said like Stone Wards is the lowest thing from all his readers, and it makes sense.
All the readers.
People,
Yeah.
the Venn diagram of people who love to go outdoors and camping and adventuring is almost non-existent with people who like to read high fantasy.
And dream of flying.
Yeah.
And
No, that's my family though.
no, I completely agree. All right, well, let's move on to the last one, which is the Bondsmiths.
I was very curious what this one was going to be, just because Bondsmith is so different from the other ones.
I'm not surprised they did the Stormfather though. Next.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but the Stormfather, he's so cute, looking so tough and tiny.
And they're like, "Don't tell him we said he was cute." But
What did you say?
Except it's tiny, so it's what would you say?
oh man,
I am the knight.
no, even better. If he
No,
still has
that's
two
the high
voice.
spread.
Oh, sorry. But no, this one was, of all of them, this one was the one that was the most interesting in terms of the lore. Or because I was very interested in this one because I'm like, all right, are we going to learn about what the Bondsmiths for the other, ones tend to be like? Because we know Dalinar's doing things that he's not supposed to be able to. So I was like getting ready for that juicy stuff. And instead, she didn't focus on them at all. She focused on their squires, which was one, I didn't even know they could have squires. And the fact she focuses on, yeah, they get them, but they don't get anything out of it.
Yeah, it's just the oath.
And that's more impressive.
Yeah.
Then again, I could see bondsmiths, not that the other orders wouldn't be impressive individuals, but if you're one of the three bondsmiths, you're probably an even bigger, more influential thing. And so I can see people wanting to tie themselves to that, even if you're not getting search binding.
Well, it's almost like a monastic order where it's this idea you're tying yourself to a greater purpose, even though you're not getting anything out of it. You're tying yourself to an ideal, which makes sense for bondsmiths because bondsmiths are the one bringing everything together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, and so the very last line I loved. Sometimes they're out there on the edges, watching the group they created have new ideas and activities and adventures of their own. Either way, the bondsmith is happy.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the reasons why I second most identify with Bondsmith. Just because I do like setting up ways for people to come together. I mean, like every month, for example, I host dinner at my house for my nephews and nieces specifically because I want them to have the chance to come together and get to know each other. Because some of them don't know each other because they lived on opposite sides of the country growing up.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was just of all of them, I didn't expect this one more than the others. It was a surprising but satisfying type of thing. It was a plot twist right at the end.
Yeah.
The Sanderson way.
Yes.
But yeah.
No, and just it also just makes sense with this being an older, because that was the other thing where I was thinking this might be in the future. Now that I understand it's in the past, and I should have known that from the beginning, but don't focus on that. I also should have known Dan Wells was writing it, but that didn't happen either.
I'll learn and grow. It's fine.
Yeah, and so it's interesting that she doesn't get into the actual bondsmiths themselves, and in retrospect, again, it makes sense because she's focusing on the order, and the three bondsmiths, I can't imagine are much of an order. Like it feels like each one of them would be an order unto themselves almost.
With each of which they kind of are with their squires.
Yeah. Which it'll be very interesting to see. Well, although maybe it's only happening over 10 days, because now Navani's in a situation where in theory, Dalinar should be able to train her a little bit, but maybe not because who knows what what it is that she can actually do with the sibling as opposed to what he can do with the Stormfather.
Yeah. Very different Spren things.
Like, we know she can make Tower Light. That much we know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I want to see what that is.
I'm very interested to see the Night Watchers bondsmith.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if we ever will.
Or if it'll happen in the 10-year, after 10 years or whatever, maybe in the back half.
Well, especially because, who knows what Cultivation's got going on in her head.
Oh yeah.
She put a freaking madman in power. I don't understand what her plot is.
Yeah.
But no, it's going to be interesting just to see what their dynamic is now that they're both bondsmiths.
Yeah. I mean, they both were already big civic leaders and leaders of Urithiru and everything else. So but now they've got two other minds involved.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting because in both instances, their Spren was very reluctant.
Yeah.
The Stormfather didn't want to bond Dalinar and complained about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the sibling it took literally both of them being on the edge of death itself.
Oh yeah.
That it finally accepted her oath.
Mm-hmm.
Epically, though. Maybe the sibling just saw Kaladin do a bunch of cool stuff and said, I want to be a drama queen too.
You never know.
Wait to the last possible moment. This is going to look great in the epics. But no, it's going to, and especially with her Spren being the child of both cultivation, like the Song of Science, as she called it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what that looks like, and is that different from what Dalinar can do? Because Dalinar's over here opening up perpendicularities and just suffusing everyone with everything,
building battle maps or whatever else with Shallan's help and all that.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
But we see with her, she temporarily fused with the city itself, and she could see. The entire, this is supposed to be this is supposed to be that, open that up, get that going.
Well, and honestly, if you look at it, if you look at the bondsmiths just kind of a separate order, Dalinar could very easily have been a Stone Ward.
Yes.
And I've said it multiple times, but Navani could have very easily been a Dustbringer. And so it'll be very interesting to see who that third bondsmith is and could have been.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting with Dalinar in particular is it was brought up in chat. Jameis reminded me of this. Do you think it's possible to Nahel bond other power for slivers? Some people, so there's a line in, oh gosh, I can't remember if it was Words of Radiance or Oathbringer. It was a recent, on the Cosmere subreddit, someone pointed this out. Where some surgeon's looking over Dalinar's body and sees all the scar tissue, especially around the shoulder. And they're just like, holy crap. How can you even move your shoulder with this much scar tissue? And Dalinar said something to the effect of a lot of training and exercise. And they're like, that's not how scar tissue works.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tied it together with a line when he first sucked in Stormlight. And he said he felt like a healing to it, and it felt familiar to him. It's a line I never focused on before. Some people are this person theorized that maybe why it's familiar to him, because we also know Void Light heals the fused, and we know Dalinar was
deep in the thrill.
So their theory is that Dalinar was starting to become bonded to the thrill itself, as Odium's champion.
Is that Moiloch?
And I think that Moloch
Yeah,
was
sounds right.
the thrill. Because Dalinar like we see it, Dalinar, it's familiar. He draws it in. And so their theory was that he was sort of becoming, like, obviously you wouldn't use the term, but like a bondsmith of
the thrill.
Or is that Nergul? I can't remember, of the thrill. And that might have been what has healed him in the past, that it was through
he's the thrill.
that. And it was just, and we obviously know there is something going on with the Unmade. Like, we know that whatever they did to Ba'ato Mishram just ruined the singers.
Sorry, Moiloch was the death rattles.
Oh,
okay. Death rattle. That's what it was. Okay.
I don't know my unmade names. Those are all good.
Yeah, I might want to know them before 20 questions. Just saying. But it could be there. Anyway, the thing that's I had never considered bonding an Unmade, but then again, we wouldn't have considered bonding a corrupted Spren, which I think the Unmade are maybe a corrupted Spren, but on
another level,
higher level.
Well, I mean, Siat and Not kind of fits into that as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I wonder if they're correct and you can bond higher Spren like that.
Well, in a similar way, Ba'ato Mishram, her being sealed away is what turned the Parshendi into the Parshmen.
Yeah.
And so, there's at least some form of bond there as well. Now, that's not the direction I expected you to go in, Jordan, though, because when Jameis mentioned slivers, who else is a sliver?
Well, I wasn't going to focus, but now that we're here, we're totally going to get someone to bond with Kelsier, and they're going to wield Kelsier and Nightblood together, and we're going to get the most metal scene ever.
Because Kelsier is a sliver of preservation.
Which, again, Kelsier is the contradiction. Because Kelsier is not of preservation. Ruin quite clearly was like, dude, this is hilarious.
Ruin claimed him as he now claims your wait, no, sorry.
No, different thing.
Okay.
But at the same time, everything with all his destruction, what did Kelsier do? He helped save everyone on the planet.
He survived.
So he helped preserve them. And so it's the constant it's why I think anytime people do the whole, what order Knights Radiant, I just don't think Kelsier could.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't think he's capable of the first oath. Maybe he could do the other oaths, but that first one,
be tough.
He literally can't say the first words, life before death. He literally had a plan that involved his own death. He's bad at that oath.
If indeed.
Like how many people come up with a plan that says, step 7, I die. Oh, so the plan fails?
Step 7, I die. Step 8.
Yeah.
But not just die, because he wasn't a believer in religion.
Right.
He was studying it so that he could make a fake religion to try and bind everyone so that they'll do stuff. And so when he died and his spirit was still not a spirit, but his cognitive aspect was still hanging around, he was like, oh, okay, it's not just oblivion. So he was willing to do that just to start a revolution. This is a man who he's willing to do some destinations before journeys.
Yeah.
And it's why it makes what's going on with the Ghost Bloods perfect as antithetical to these orders of Knights Radiant, because they're very much, ends justify the means type people. And binding yourself to these oaths, there's a reason for that. Like, there's a reason they get all this power, and it's because it's, they had to bind themselves because these powers are too great. We don't know exactly how it worked on Ashen, or not Rays. Ashen? Which one
Ashen.
were they on? It was Ashen. Okay. But clearly, surge binding without the oaths was a mistake. And then, we see what's going on with the Shar, and we know that that's pretty dangerous. And so these oaths are what hold things in check. And so it makes perfect sense that it hurts like to progress in these oaths, because you're sacrificing something. In the case of Kelsier, it was finally, sacrificing the fact that he could, he has to let go of this self-doubt, and, that he could save everyone and just finally accept the truth that you cannot do it. And that clearly hurt him. You see Venli in swearing her oaths, she has to sacrifice this fence straddling, which is much safer. It's much safer to straddle the fence than take a side, especially in a war between cosmic forces. Yeah. I would much rather straddle the fence too if I were in Venli's shoes. But you actually have to give something up to get this power.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's the big thing, that as we're going through these orders, that you see, like, who are these people that would swear these types of oaths and make these promises? They're people of a certain type of moral character on certain virtues.
Yeah. Okay, we've been going for a long time, so we should probably wrap up. But to our listeners, we love hearing from you, so please keep sending in questions. You can ask us about the Cosmere. You can drop us your ideas for topics that you would love for us to discuss during the show. And while you're at it, we would love to hear your feedback about how you think we're doing, as well as any interesting theories you might have about what's going on in the Cosmere. You can send questions and suggestions in a brief, concise email to cosmerestudies@gmail.com, and hopefully we could read that as part of the show. You can also reach us at the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, P.O. Box 970063, Orem, Utah 84097. We do have our own personal projects outside the show, so Amy, why don't you start us off and let us know what you got going on?
Okay, so my Facebook is Coincidence Cosplay and Props. My Twitter is at Coincidence Cosp, because my name is too long, but I never post on there. My Instagram is at Coincidence_Cosplay. My TikTok is at Coincidence Cosplay, all one word, and my website is www.coincidencecosplay.com. Mostly, I have been working on Mud Trooper stuff for me and a couple guys, because we're hoping to do that for May the 4th. At the Salt Lake Planetarium. So we're hoping to be a bunch of mud troopers from Solo, if you know those guys. So that's what I've been working on. I'm terrible at posting. I need to post more. But so what I post will probably be bits of bobs of trying to catch up. And I'm trying to get TikTok to work so I can do a video about someone trying to scam me. So, yeah.
Cool. Jordan, what about you?
Well, I'm not being scammed over on my stream, twitch.tv/splicestream or Kick, under the same name. Every Tuesday we've been doing the video game 20 questions, and now that we're going to be doing Cosmere 20 questions, you might want to show up and see how we do all that. It's been a lot of fun. I've now got my shorts format working. I'm learning how to streamline that, so please check out those shorts.
Now, Cosmere 20 questions is going to be on this channel, though, right?
Yes, it will be on this channel.
Okay. As for me,
that's the part I got to figure out.
As for me, I have another podcast with my friend Dylan. We talk about board games. The show is called The Innkeeper's Table, and we put up new episodes every other Friday. Our most recent episode was a top 3 abstract strategy games. So when you think abstract strategy, honestly, the most well-known one is probably chess or checkers, or games that you look at the board and it just looks like a board with pieces. It doesn't necessarily look like it's got a heavy theme, et cetera, et cetera. Typically, if you go to a medieval inn, this is the kind of game they're playing over. The 2 old men are playing over in the corner. If there's a game called Stones, which there is in every fantasy world, it seems like, that would be an abstract strategy game. So definitely go check that out. For those of you who want to support the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, but you can't become a patron just yet, we would love it if you just let your friends know about the show. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and to like and subscribe over on youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. Leave us comments over there as well. And if you want to toss us a good review wherever you listen to us, we would absolutely love that. You can also head over to store.streamelements.com/Cosmere Studies to buy merch with our branding and stuff. There's some cool stuff over there. All right, final thoughts.
I want more money so I can buy all the plushies, but it's a lot of plushies.
I want more plushies so I can buy all the money. Wait.
That's what Brandon's doing. He has more
Dang
plushies
it.
and he's buying all our money with them.
Yeah, I'll be interested in seeing if they do more of these little vignette style things now that they have Dan on board. I like this. Like this is a fun little side project, and I'd love to see more stuff like this.
No, I agree. I would love, because she mentions in the very first in the Windrunner episode that she wants to do a much deeper look into each of the orders. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Because I want to know more about the orders. So, and especially from this perspective in the ancient orders rather than the modern ones, seeing because we're seeing the modern ones grow into whatever they're going to become. I'd love to see what the previous ones were, just to compare and contrast and get into arguments with people on the internet about. So,
truly a bondsmith.
In addition to the live episodes of the show that stream on youtube.com/Cosmere Studies every 2 weeks on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, listeners can find our videos on YouTube or audio versions of the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and just about any other service that carries podcasts by searching for Cosmere Studies. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook under the profile at Cosmere Studies. For our next episode, we're currently planning to continue our Stormlight reread with Words of Radiance. But if we get some chapter drops, then...
Brandon said we're getting one on the 21st.
Oh, we are getting one on the 21st?
Yeah.
That's right, from the Secret Project. We'll probably be
Yeah.
discussing that instead. So make sure to join us when we stream it live in 2 weeks on Monday, March 25th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern at www.youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. Until then, on behalf of Amy, Jordan, and myself, thanks for listening, and remember,
There's
There's always
another secret.
another secret.